All right, all you devils out there. Oh, as I like to start these off, I wish you a happy Friday. Well, an interesting week. All right, we'll start here with Bitcoin. Of course, I like to start here on the weekly, just to, big picture. Any reason to modify the count here? Any reason to be less bullish? Well, I don't think so. Here now, I've got a couple of things marked off here. Now, this is a floater, right? 4 in, 4 need to come. Remember, it's unclear as to whether we've got the 4 in, or whether or not we need a little more consolidation. But we're in 4 territory. Whoops, excuse me. We're in 4 territory here. Now, the first two things I have marked here, this is a logarithmic MACD. Since we're looking at this in log scale, I've shown this several times. Here's the crosses, right? Pretty good on this rally. Out on the weekly, here's the cross below. Pretty good on the correction. Again, right? Indicators are just math, right? Their indicators are always right. Period. It's just our interpretation. Are they early? Are they late? But the coding is done correctly. An indicator is always right. Right? It's us that are wrong. Okay, so if we look here, I've got the volume profile here. I'm just pulling it from the proposed wave 2 low here. I also have the anchored VWAP here, the weekly anchored VWAP. You can see it all kind of would suggest here that the path of least resistance for this to complete would be up here to finish the 5th. Now, with those established here, right? Those are not bad to have on your chart, right? Just if it helps you, right? Just to stay clear on where we are. I just do that for demonstration. But here, as can we get on the other side of that? Now, the other thing here, and I talked about this the last couple of weeks here, this is the voting here in the U.S., and that's inauguration. About the only thing I can say with absolute certainty is that this is going to be a shit show for this country. I'm not no bias there. I just would, no matter what happens, this is going to be a shit show, right? So hedge accordingly. For Bitcoin, it depends on the time frame you're trading and what your exposure is here. I'm not saying you need to sell your Bitcoin, right, or anything like that. I'm just saying expect some fucking crazy volatility here as we either unravel as a country here, or again, I try not to be too political here, although it slips out every now and then. Okay, right. So we got a shit show coming, right? I think we can all. That's a reasonable bet. What does that mean for Bitcoin? It's anybody's guess, right? I won't be making any changes to what I'm doing here. But as we just look at it here, I'd just be mindful of that. That may not be a great time to be entering the market, right? So you want to be positioned before we get there. Right? What are we, 40-something days away? We're not too far from it. So just a reminder, right? Not that I think anyone in the U.S. needs to be reminded. Okay, so we've got that. Let me just go down here. Let's go over to our BloFin, right? This is our sponsor here. We're kind of working this out now. As you guys know here, BloFin, they hit the trading view in January of this year, so I don't have full history, which is why when I go to a weekly here, I go over to Coinbase here. But once I get to a 4-hour here, we can work through this. This is just to the tether on BloFin. Now this is. This is the kind of price action here for an Elliottian, right? You either love it or you hate it, right? I mean, if you love the idea of solving the puzzle, boy, is this a juicy one, right? Since we've got here, that's what is it, right? Are we accumulating or distributing? All right. Well, the one thing we can all agree is here we're not progressing the trend, so very high probability we're putting in a 4 here, and if we just go back to the weekly, that seems pretty obvious right now. Things can change, but right now this is back and forth with my guys, and I've got some of the best Elliotticians anywhere. This is our best guesstimate here. Now this is my primary. I've kind of alluded to this one as well, where we've looked at a few here. One possibility here, we truncated up here, right? It all just, it's a function of what are we doing now, right? So are we going to break higher here, and we're going to have to come back here and put the hang on, and put the put the 4 down here. Oh, that's going to get really ugly, right? So, and then, okay, we're going to do this as a 3. Not so sure, right, about that, right? So I don't leave this here as a primary, although if we explode up here for whatever reason, right, we're going to have to be back here reconsidering how we can get this done. I mean, there's a way to do it. The problem is not getting here in conclusion. The problem is we start with a 3 and a 3 and a 3. not a great start. It's not what you would hope for. Now here, I'm actually, right, I want the market to come down here. Again, I'm very, you know, everybody, I'm a huge bull, very long in my portfolio of Bitcoin. So you want it to come down? Well, I do want it to come down. I want it to come down into 3 just so I know where I am. Then the probability here looks extremely good, right, for this to start, you know, heading up here to complete our 5th. Do we get a 3 here, right? Or is this going to, well, we're going to do it this way. We're going to just blow up here, right? Something along these lines here. And, oh, can't say I love that, right? But it's because it's going to be such ugly Elliott here. Not that that should dictate. But as we look at it here, one more 3 down here. And I think there's a huge degree of conviction that you can start entering here. Yeah, we may or may not hold the golden zone, but that, of course, we know Bitcoin loves it. So if we were to come back down here and get a little pivot, ooh, oh, I'd be adding myself right now. So it remains to be seen, right? So let's go in there a little bit closer and just look at the 2 alternates here. So this, I'm going to pull that out just for the time being here. Now this, as it sits right now, this would be a very, you know, a very technical conclusion here and pretty sexy Elliott, but we'll see if we get it, right? Triangle is very hard to forecast, right? Until you're in the final leg of it, very hard to forecast. But there it is. Okay, so let me go, I think we can do it here in the 4th. So this section down here, this is what we're all wrestling with. Okay, what do we have here? No Elliottician's calling that a 5, right? It's such a force fit. Come on, right? It's not, right? It's a 3. This certainly looks like there's complexity here, so nice WXY. This also looks like, you know, some sort of leading, a little contracting diag, 3, 4. It's not pretty, right? So much less likely to be anything you'd put in, well, certainly it's not an impulse, right? So, diag, right? So maybe it's a diag to finish, a contracting diag to finish the B here. And then again, I think very few Elliotticians are going to call this impulsive, right? So again, oh, it's a little tricky to get there. A couple of different ways you could do it, but we got a B, C into the B, and then the last leg down for the C. So that gives us the C. Now this is where it gets a little trickier here, where I have a couple of counts here. So let's, group 1 here, we'd have, take this off. Right, so we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right, same as it was last week. A, B, C down for a B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're up here. We've completed here. Now that would be the premise of this count here. We've completed the 5, just below this pivot up here where we have this obvious. Right, we have some supply up here. Right, I mean, it's not take rocket science to see that as potentially a supply zone up here. This it seems same color here, but this would be an inverse fair value gap, right? Here's the fair value gap. Now we've gone through it, so if we come back to it, right, potentially it's just imbalance that's been mitigated here. If we're coming back to it, it might be an area to pay attention to for some sort of a reaction. That might be more confusing here. Let's just take that off for the time being here. So we could look at it this way, right? So here's the last swing down. This would be demand. Oh, come over here. This would be demand, right? This didn't get fully mitigated. It's a bit of a stretch, right? You know, it's pretty damn close to the 50, right, where you'd clearly say mitigated. So the question mark there, is that close enough? Well, as we come up here, as yesterday with the big rally across risk assets, I know, right? We Bitcoin bulls, right? We want to see an impulse here, but is it? Is it? I know, right? I want it to go to the moon as well, but I don't think we're there yet, right? So this would make perfect sense, right? If it's a 3, now you could do it a couple of different ways. One of my senseis, Tony Talent, right, who's again is also a level 3. These guys are much better Elliotticians than I am. That's why I hired him. He's got it this way: as a WXY, is a triple, which is perfectly valid. A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C, right? So we go W, X, Y, A, B, C into an X, A, B, C, to finish this thing to get the final Z of the C of the D, right? So it's a series of 3s. It's a little sexier to do it this way, right? So you can't, it's valid either way, right? It's the frustrating part of it. Valid either way, right? So that's the one look at it, right? And then, oh shit, get off of there. Let's get you on here, and that's the way we just looked at, and then here's the way ABC. Both valid, right? It's a little kinky in here. broader structure. It, you know, you have to go down to a 1 minute or 30 minute to get the A, B, C, but it flies, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Does it matter, right? Again, that's just Elliottician, you know, masturbation, right? They're like, oh, yeah, I think it's that one. Get off of there. Didn't want to lock that one. Oh, shit. Come here. All right, so I got to pick one here. Whatever you want to call it. Neither one's perfect, right? You very small two here. You know, again, does it matter? Really, what matters here is, are we going to break above or not? Now, you have to look at that with a little bit of skepticism. Say, okay, wait a second now. If the low is in, well, first, right, there's the, okay, this is, we're launching with this 3. Now, how is a bull going to do it? Okay, right. Well, you're going to have to. You're really thinking diag, right? It's a series of 3s. It just is, right? Anything else is a force fit, right? You're doing it because you want. That's what you want it to be. It's not. It's a series of 3s, right? I think any objective technician here would agree with that. Now, you know, you don't have to agree with me, right? But what are your eyes? We agree with your eyes, right? It's a series of 3s, period, right? It just is. So okay, now if we're so think about this. So wait a minute. What if it rockets here? How is that going to fly? Well, we'd have to do it this way. This would have to be 1, 2, and this would have to be 1 of 3, right? So if we do this and we come down here, so if this is 1, 2, and this is 1, we go, you know, here's a potential demand zone here. This is going to have to be a moonshot, right? This is going to have to be a big 3. For this is going to have to be 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the only way to get out of here as it is right now. So what would you be watching for, right? As we go right here, right? Knowing Bitcoin loves the golden. Do we do it here? Could we still put the E here? It's a, you know, prone to under and overthrow, but that's a bit shallow, right? I think not, right? If we do this and we start to launch here, I think you're more likely, you know, we're going to the bull count. I'm not anticipating that, right? Shit, right? The market doesn't give a shit what any of us think, right? It's going to do what it's going to do. We're just trying to make sense of, you know, patterns that are prone to repeating, right? So can we get out of here and still moonshot, right, into the end of the year? Absolutely. It would be surprising, right? Market surprises all of us all the time, right? So. All right, that's enough on Bitcoin. Let's go over to ETH, right? We got a couple accounts here. I'm going to start. What do I got here? Oh, I've got ETH over here. You know, I think with ETH, this is the alternate account, right? We've looked at this in log scale here for the triangle as I've been looking at it over the last couple of when do we start here? Year. Okay, well, so this is a bullish count, and I think this gets a little more traction here because the double into the golden here. So 1, 2, right? You're going to have to do this as a giant leading diag. Yeah, you know, it's okay, it's possible, right? So 1, 2, A, B, C into the 3, A, B, C, boom, right to the golden. Now I'm pulling it off of the 2, but you could pull it. You could pull it off of the low as well. It's not like it gets dramatically worse, right? You're still banging the golden here. You broke the 50 either way. And it's often the case with a diag, you want to look for a reaction in the 4th from the start of the 1 through the pivot of the 3. Does it get worse? No. No, it doesn't. If anything, it gets a little better, right? Perhaps a little front run. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay, so is the 4 in? Well, okay, that would suggest, right, we're going... Even if we just go to algo target, right? Is there any question whether an algo is here? Right? None. 0. Zip. Right? We know that's an algo that's already fired. Doesn't mean it's going to hold, but we know why it's rallying there. I'd like to think I don't have to go through that again, right? After 6 years of showing that. Okay, but let's go to log scale here because it's a little trickier. Here, this is the count, the alternate count. Oh shit! Do I have it here? Oh, hang on. Yeah, here we go. Just had to set it over here. This is the count that we've been looking at here more recently. I'm going to pull this off just for a second. Okay, so if we start here, this would oh shit, here we'd have to do it this way. 3, 4. Here I'm probably leaving out a degree, but just to make sense of the count here, I think that I just took out an Elliott count, a wave degree, but you get the idea. 3, A, B, C, D, E, right? Also implying the 4 and the 5 is yet to come. how are we going to know? Well, of course, nobody knows, right? But if we do this in a 3 and then we start to come back, right, what would we be anticipating? Another 3, right? So, but look at the timeline, right? This would be through the end of the year. So rally through end of the year, election time, crazy time down here. Now you're into the spring of next year for the DE. Now, this I'm just free drawing here. We don't know shit. I mean, we could do it here, right? We don't know how fast that could happen. That could happen in a couple of days. I mean, that's a big move, right? From $2,000 to $4,000. Could it happen? Yeah, of course, anything's possible, right? But what do we get here? Now, if we get this, now we're back to the first count. Oh, what? We're going to do it as a gigantic leading diag. Possible? Is there anything to do, right? So at the bottom line here, what's the play in Ethereum? Whether we're going, a series of threes, it is a series of threes, right? So whether we're interpreting it as a diag or a triangle, it's game on for bulls. Why would you not be buying that, right? Though you might make a case here, we didn't get all the liquidity down there. You didn't get all of it. I.e. didn't sweep this low, right? So leave that hanging. Well, okay, possibly. Oh shit, I've got something below here that's color coding that. Let's take that off here so we just get a clean look at it. What a shocker. Let's get you right on it. Would you believe it? Right to the golden zone, right? There's David Halsey's beautiful gift to traders, right? Identifying the measured move algo, the contemporary measured move, right? Oh, I try to give him credit for that all the time, anytime I can, right? This is not I have, taken this and made it foundational to what we teach at TradeDevils, but I just be sure that's not my discovery, right? All I did was add the 65 to it, and then add the median lines, right? As I talked about this a little bit last week, right? So we get this, right? So as we were here, you guys all know this because I repeat it whenever I can. 80% odds of getting there, right? Boom, hit, got the first target. Okay, all right. So that's is this 1, 2? Let's go to a 4. Does that look like a 5? You might be able to squeeze it in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You probably got a diag there. It's not great. Well, this looks like a 3, so you might have to do it this way. Looks like you'd have to do 5 here, A, B, C, 2. That's not a great start. Oh, as we get into ETH. 1, A, B, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, shit, maybe. Except that you're kind of stuck with it here. Oh, then I'd probably do it here. 1, 2, 3. 3, 1, 2, 3. You're a little bit late. Okay, so let's say you're like, well, I don't know, right? Waiting for the rate cut, and what were they going to do with the rate cut? Oh shit, did I miss it? Oh fuck, well I can't buy it now. Well, slow down. Let's do it precisely. Where would we anticipate that? We got some imbalance up here, right? Fair value gaps. Market will look to rebalance that. 3, 4. 2 choices, right? Of course, right? We can look at it this way and put it down here, right? You could take 4 to the 5, anticipating. That's just you're trying to hit a single there, because after that, we know exactly what to anticipate. Now, I don't have this here, so I don't key on these levels, just on the assumption we were to complete this. If we're going to go up here and do this and then go for the 5, okay, well, then we're looking for 3 down. It's nothing out of the ordinary. That's what we're looking for, right? To come back in here. Now we're looking for the big one, right? So don't feel like, oh shit, I missed ETH. Oh, well, we're just getting started here. If we're going to have the true bull market that many forecast, myself included, you didn't miss anything. You don't need to pick that turn. What's the difference here? You bought it on the break here, or are you going to buy it on the retrace? Same price, right? Okay, you missed a little, a little Deegan trade. You'll survive. What you're trying to do on something like this is get positioned for the big rip, right? You want to be in for the 3. That's going to, now we're going from 2,400 to 4,000, right? On the assumption we just do traditional 1, 2, 3, right? We get a 1, 6, 1, 8. You didn't miss anything. First, let's get this 5 to complete. Wait for the retrace and then let it rip. Okay, let me pause there. I got a couple other to do. I'm going to finish with the ES. Okay, as I like to do here, I brought up alt fins here. This is no, most of you are probably familiar with it, right? They're pretty well established. I'm an investor here. I was I liked this the second I saw it, right? I think it's been over a year. And I just come to like this. I like to look for the hot list, right? That's where I come here. Whenever I'm looking for ideas for alts on Fridays, right? So I did this last week. Here's 3 of the same from last week are still in here: AAVE, TRX, and Solano. So let's just hit them. So here's AAVE, right? So you can look at it and say, well, yeah, I wonder why it's in there as technically bullish. Well, okay, there's what we just looked at over here. Why is it bullish? AAVE. Oh, it's a channel up. Is it a channel up? Right? I mean, don't just assume it. Oh, well, there I put a double on it. Right? This is just a clone. Here, you could do it either way. I wanted to get that lower edge. So we've got this pretty nice looking channel. I mean, that's the internal 5 channeled. That's the internal 5 here to give us the 3. The other channel here, we could do it this way, right, is more like this, but it's so wide because of the 2. Would make you think, oh, the 4 could come down here. Well, not too far, right? If we're going to stay as an impulse, right here would be the invalidation point. But this could roll over if we're going to have another sell-off, right? If Bitcoin's going to come down, that could likely pull everything down with it. So you'd be looking at something along these lines. Oh, W, X, Y, something like that to bring you down here into all of this consolidation, whatever this was just clearly, right? Consolidate, expand. That's all the market ever does. Consolidate, expand, consolidate, expand. That's all it ever does. That's all it, I'm assuming that's not new information for anybody. Okay, are we doing this up for the 5, or are we going to pause here, right? See, it's hard to see how AAVE could do this if Bitcoin is rolling over. Now, if Bitcoin's flying, well, then we're back here doing that. It feels too skinny, right? It feels like that. It feels, now it's right to a 23, right? High probability zone. But given the depth of the 4, it wouldn't surprise me at all if this had a little more complexity in it. We were doing something like this, even down here. That's not don't panic on that. It's just you get a better opportunity here. Here's what you absolutely, positively, under no circumstances would I encourage you to do. Don't buy the breakout. Some people will. I know it's so tempting. Oh, it's going to go, right? Again, it doesn't matter. I don't care how far that goes. Eventually, it will come back, right? You're not going to miss anything. And I shouldn't say that with such absolute terms. Odds are very high, right? After the break, right, we will retrace. Right here's the last break. Oh, boom, down for the 4. Well, think of it this way: if we're going to have an impulse here, 1, 2, another break of structure, 3, 4, 5. Right? I've been saying this for a while, right? SMC is just it's Elliott Wave with different labeling. You cannot trade Elliott Wave and not be trading market structure. You can trade market structure and not be trading Elliott Wave, right? You just you don't pay attention to it, to the rules and guidelines, right? So, but if you're trading Elliott Wave, you're already trading market structure. Maybe not with all the nuances of what's out there these days, right? It's starting to fracture as well now because the algos, right? You don't think the algos are keyed into what ICT is doing and what all his little groupies are doing. Trust me, they're already on top of it, right? So you're seeing people splinter for different ideas, which is good, right? I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that's quite good, right? Because you're getting some creative thinkers coming up with new approaches, some very, very interesting, right? I'm tracking a lot of that, right? Because I try and stay on top of where the market is. Where is the technician, and where's he drawn to? What's popular right now? I think ICT is burning out. Although, oh God, will I get some shit spam from that? But he is, right? He is, because the algos are adapting. Right? Now maybe he can adapt, right, and change his marketing, because that's what he is, a marketer. Okay, right. So let's go back to our list here. AAVE looks good. That's a contender here. I would encourage you to keep an eye on that one. Is there anything to do right now? No, right? Definitely not. Either it's going up here and you're going to wait for this to complete and we're going to come down lower, or you're looking for a little more complexity in the 4, right, before we come down and go up to the 5. Okay, let me pause for a second. Okay, back to our list. TRX, still in the hot list. Oh, where is TRX, right? You can see why. It looks very similar. Oh, let me get that off. I know I talk with my hands on the mouse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know this Elliott Wave shit it's no good anymore. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we get the 5? You could buy it right. Well, you see, careful here, right? So that we've had enough retracement here where there's enough distance here where you could buy it right here, right? This is the one you can maybe lever this up a little bit, right? Your assumption is here we're going to sweep, we're going to take the high. Now, careful about that assumption, right? That's you know, hopium. The anticipate is that we would break the pivot here. Oh, you're pretty good here, right? So if this is the 3. This is the 4. 1, 2, you could, max you'd want to give it is here. 3 to 1. This could roll over again. You've had a little sweep here. I'd be careful on this one. This is the sweep here. This didn't quite make it. So this, oh shit, you can't even see it. Now here, let me move that. All right, so this right here. Oh, we're gonna leave that. This one, I'd be careful on this one. If you're going to trade it, let's be careful about that, right? So you might have this completing down here that would push the 4 over because you'd have a 5, right? Now, we could have truncated. It's possible. It's always possible, right? But this suggests now if we break the 4 here, right, then you can start to think, oh shit, it looks like it is a truncation. Or the other possibility, right, is ABC, and this is 1, 2, right? Because we leave that hanging, right? But then, okay, right? So you just have to be aware of it, right? You can see it. Oh, we're going to truncate here. Is this a 5 or 3? Well, if you're buying it right here, I'd keep it at that pivot, right? On the assumption, okay, if they're going to go down and sweep this, we could be heading lower. Look at the imbalance you have right here, right? You've got a big untapped fair value gap right there. Oh, shit. Fair value gap right here with a demand zone underneath it. So we know this is likely muscle here, right, that caused the fair value gap. Look at the displacement, right? So you know there's likely support down here. You see it right here, right? The market stalled here before we went up. I'll probably have to take that up a degree or 2, right? So let's be mindful, right? ABC, yeah, it could be 1, 2. See, this is where time starts to play a factor, right? Could we be done here if this is 1, 2, 3? Okay, well, this is sharp, right? You might anticipate this being a little bit more complex, right? Again, these are guidelines, right? What you might anticipate. Well, there's a sharp 3. Maybe go a little bit sideways here. I mean, you could go into a triangle, something to be a little bit more. If that's a 3, shit, we could have 3, A, B, C, A, B, C, right? We could have some sort of a triangle going on here, or you could just launch here, right? So it's just choose wisely, right? And unless you have a lot of conviction into where we're heading here, remember, part of the premise here is that Bitcoin is likely to roll. I shouldn't say it that way. Has a very real potential to roll over here, right? To bring us down to complete the E wave here, right? If that does it, then you can anticipate that's going to bring everybody down. We could still go. We could do an A, B, C here and do something like this. Careful, right? Because you got 3 down. You're going to assume the truncation. Careful of that, right? And then you'd come down, so you'd have A, B, C, and then you'd have a better looking 4 here. But you got to have to stay. I would be careful there. You're gonna have to stay above that 1. I should thicken that. Let's make it blue, and let's put it as a full line here. You're gonna have to watch that we don't overlap that. To hold with the idea it's an impulse. Now, you know, shit. I suppose it could turn into a diag. Either way, right? This is just this. We don't have that guideline, right? So when you're choosing, right? Okay, do I want to just throw money in all of these? Maybe not, right? Maybe this is the one that you say, oh, I'm going to give that a little more time to mature, right? Let's see what comes out of that. Okay, back to my list. So we've got AAVE, TRX, and let's look at Solana. Okay, Solana. It's not unlike Bitcoin, right? Oh, shit. Let me get rid of that. Hang on. A, B, C, right? That seems know, it's just like Bitcoin, right? It's the same thing, right? We're just doing a giant sideways here, just accumulation, consolidation, right? That's a 4-hour, where am I, in Coinbase here? So I need the history, right? I would trade it on BloFin, but here where I need that history, I mean, this has been such spectacular, Elliott, or if I could take it out to a daily, it's just unbelievable, right? 1, 2, 3, right? It's the 4 going in. Where are we in the 4? So let's pop in there a little bit. We've looked at this several times, right? It looks to me like we're doing very similar to what Bitcoin's doing. We're trying to put in a triangle. A, B, C, W, A, B, C, X, A, B, C, D, E. Puts the Y in, and we're off to the races. It's hard not to like that. Let's go to an 8-hour. Now, this has got similar issues with Bitcoin, right? So if this is the low here, we're going to come back here and call this 1, 2. Okay, that's possible. We could, right? We're going to need to get you might have 1, 2, working on 3, 4, 5. That would be the 1 of the fifth, right? At the next degree, at the highest degree. Possible. I want it to come down because then I have more conviction in what I've got here. Here's what I'm saying. All right. Finish it. 1 more down. If we do it in 3, right, be ready to add. Well, add, enter. Where you've got. I could probably call all of this not fully mitigated. Let's call that demand zone, right? So we didn't get the 50, right? So you got to toe into it. You're more commonly, right? You'd anticipate that we'd get to the 50, right? So the algos like to mitigate that. But so this is all just sitting here. So it looks very, very, very similar to Bitcoin, right? Now what are we doing here, right? 1 more down. I'm going to be aggressive there myself. That's just me. I'm not telling you what to do. Not financial advice. Just telling you what I'm doing. Okay, that's all the crypto I've got. I think we covered them all, right? All the biggies, right? We got the 3, we got Bitcoin, we got ETH. Okay, let's finish up. Let's look at the S&P here, and maybe how am I doing on time? 20. Oh shit! I'll look at the S&P. Okay, well, after the rate cut, right, we had a monster day, right? No follow through. Now today's a wild card because it's quadruple witching, so this is not a great day to be trading. You're gonna have a lot of volatility. So this is when. It's the options, right, that drive the market on a day like today. So it's a tricky day here. But now we've had the break of structure here, right? Now note, right, it's pushed up a little bit because we had to have the higher close, right? These were wicks. Now we've had the break. I remain very cautious about the potential that this is not enough time, right? Again, I've talked about this for 6 weeks, right? That this is over a year up, and we're gonna correct it all in 10 days. Okay, it's not like it's never happened before. It just makes me uncomfortable. Also, if you look back historically, let me get rid of that. If you look back historically, after a rate cut, in particular a 50-point rate cut, the market usually sells off. So everybody and their brother and mother and everyone else in their family tree is thinking, oh, well, they lower rates, so off to the moon. Now, I'm not saying it's not going off to the moon. I'm just saying don't make that assumption. What we just had the break of structure. What are we anticipating now? It's anticipating, right? Not obligated, right? The market's not obligated to do anything. What does it usually do? Well, so that's the daily. Let's go to a 4 here, right? This thing's going to have to really kick, right? So now, and then keep in mind, if this is 1, 2, and if we did the 3 here, or there could be the 4s here, and we're going up for the 5. I mean, we could be done here with whatever this is. A, B, C. Sweep the high. Oh, W, X, Y. Oh, let's go to an 8 here. Let me just real quick here make this point. What right here? Election. Inauguration. You can now we could have a substantial expansion here in the X wave here. We can go up to 2 times, right? But that'd be surprising if we're going up that far, right? If we get to a 1618, right, you're gonna say, well, shit, I'll be damned, maybe we're gonna do it, right? If we're getting up here to this 1618 here at 62.77 before this, okay, well, pleasant surprise, right? I've got plenty of long equity exposure, but I'm just not anticipating that. So I've been doing a little hedging. Longer term, right, for the potential here. But really, what am I hedging? I'm hedging crazy town. There's no way around it. That's going to be crazy. It doesn't matter who wins, right? It's going to be contested, right? It doesn't matter, right? We go into Congress, we go into the courts, right? You're going to have, again, I don't want to be a doom and gloomer, but this is not going to be pretty. Hope I'm wrong. I truly hope I'm wrong. I just don't think I am. Okay, right. So what are we doing here, right? This is 1-2. This is going to need to be a big rip-roaring impulse, and it looks like. See, it doesn't look like he can do it, right? We're not going to do this, right? It looks like, if anything, we're starting. If we're going to do right, if this is 3 and the 4 is in, this is 1-2. This is going to be 1-2 of 3, right? 1-2 of 3. Because if this is 1-2. This is not going to be 3. That's going to be 1 of 3. 1, 2, 3. No matter how you slice it, it's bullish. It's just, could you handle this, right? With whatever your position is, right? Could you handle that drawdown based on how you're exposed to the market? It's still, right? I'm not getting bearish. I'm saying it's too soon. It's okay. I mean, again, it's not like it's obligated. It's going to do what it's going to do. But if we're going to go up for that 5, the suggestion here is just we're going to come down a little bit deeper before we make that rip, right, going into next year. So adjust accordingly. What I do in these videos here, hopefully, is I'm just demonstrating everything that we teach, right? So everything that I do is exactly what you're going to see in our Discord, in our courses. Oh, I improvise a little bit here and there and add some new things in. And as we do that, right, just as we did with the brown belt, right, we built in all of the SMC material because it's so popular, right? Again, you can't trade Elliott Wave and not be trading market structure. That's kind of a funny thing. So there we go, 1-2. We'll see where this is headed. But again, today, let the quad witching expire. Let's see how we look next week. Okay, guys, with that, I'll wish you a good week. Right, so links below, right? If you want to support the channel, right, this is a great place to go, right? If you're not participating there, of course, our new sponsor is BloFin, right? So, oh, I got them. Oh, they're over here. Here's BloFin, right? We'll have links below, right? We've got some nice bonuses for you, fun there. There's no KYC. Great for U.S. residents, right? It's a very solid company, right? We're really happy with them. So far, all of the members that are trading there also very happy, and we have this nice little contest going on with some nice prizes. So with that, I wish you guys a good weekend, and we'll catch you next week.